Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I am bringing you the very first episode of the gaming series, which I did promise to bring to the channel. So what we are going to be doing is we're going to be looking at my top loadouts from all the classes from Team Fortress 2, which is an online shooter game, been out since 2011, 50 million players I think. It was released by Valve, which is the same company that made Half-Life 2 and the new, I think, VR version Half-Life 3. So we're going to jump in, have a look at my top loadouts for competitive matching and kind of aggressive and serious play, and we're going to enjoy it. If you enjoy the video, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and like. Also make sure you turn on that notification bell so that you know whenever I upload a video. I do apologise that the quality of my mic isn't very good in this video, and I will try and get it sorted out by the next one. But for now, enjoy the video. So, time to move on with the video. So, the first class I'm going to look at is my favourite, and it's the one I know the best. It is, of course, the sniper. So, when playing competitively, which I always do with the sniper, I always love to use the huntsman, although a lot of people call it the lucksman. I mean, I played with it, I think, for now like 1,500 hours. So, for me, it's a lot more of, it is actually a weapon rather than just luck. It's awesome, and I've named it a certain thing which I won't say on YouTube because I don't want to get demonetized just quite yet. But of course it is a bow and arrow, as you can see, and yeah, and I think it holds, I think you get 12 in your arrow box at the back, on your back. I don't know what that's called, arrow holder or something. Anyway, and I think it deals up to 320 damage on a headshot if you get a crit with it. So it is a pretty dangerous weapon. Then obviously as my secondary I have the Razorback, because it protects you from one backstab from a spy, and when you're a sniper standing still waiting for somebody to come across your crosshairs so you can kill them, you're obviously at a high risk of someone backstabbing you. So it is very useful to have something that protects you against that. And then I have the Tribalman's Shiv, which gives bleed for 5 seconds on hit, and what that means is if someone's in close counters with me, I can quickly accumulate a lot of bleeding on them by hitting them multiple times quite quickly, and it does help them die much quicker. So that is my sniper loadout. And in the taunt section I obviously have the killer solo, which is the trumpet, not trumpet, it's the saxophone solo, I think, the saxophone solo, and then obviously the didgeridoo, because he is an Australian legend. So that is my loadout for the sniper. If you have any questions about it, or you think I could improve it anyway, tell me down below in the comments. So now that we've had a look at the sniper, I think let's have a look at the spy. A spy is a class that I haven't really played much. I've started playing it more recently because I think it's a good skill to have, be able to play in the game, and it's quite difficult to do. So I'll just whiz through this loadout pretty quickly. So my primary is the Ambassador, and I really enjoy it just because it has crits on headshot. I know it has the, as we can see here, the damage penalty, the 20% slower firing speed, and there's no random critical hits. So that is obviously a problem, but I just love it when you get a critical headshot. And I mean, look at it, I mean, it looks freaking awesome. And look how he holds it. It's bigger than a freaking deagle. It's bigger than a desert eagle. I mean, that thing's huge. Then I have the Carnivor's Kunai, or the Kunai, we just call it the Kunai. And the reason why I have this is because it absorbs the health from the people that you kill or backstab with it. So that's something I find very useful, because if I'm on low health, I can absorb their health, especially if it's a heavy, and get a lot of my health back. Then I have the Dead Ringer, which is probably the most annoying cloaking mechanism for anybody who's trying to fight a spy, because if you use it, the second you take a bit of damage, it makes it look like you died by making a fake corpse of yourself fall onto the floor so everyone else thinks you're dead, and then you can run away quickly because you get a speed boost and you go invisible, and then you can come back and get them again without actually dying, So it's basically the master in deception, and then I have the normal sapper, just the basic sapper really, as my sapper. So that is the spy. Now have a look at the medic. Medic is something I like to play if I'm feeling generous towards other people. So I have as my primary, I have the Crusader's crossbow, because all the like crossbows and stuff like that, they're never really good. I mean, look at this, no headshots and 75% max primary ammo on your wearer. Kind of look at this, syringe gun is pretty much useless, and the overdose 15% damage penalty. So which is basically which is the best of the worst. And also I love the way that this thing looks. I mean, it looks absolutely awesome in my view. Then I have the Kritzberg, because I mean it's amazing when you get like a Devilman, a soldier, or a heavy who just gets sudden crits. I mean, they can basically wipe out a huge amount of people very quickly, and it destroys sentries and crits. I mean, guaranteed crits are just amazing. And then as for my melee, I have the Ubersaw, because on each hit I do against an enemy, it gives me a 25% Uber charge towards my Kritzberg. Although it does have a 20% slower firing speed, I do love getting that Uber charge up very quickly. Now moving on to the Engineer. Engineer is something that kind of play if you're on like capture the flag or something like that, defense, or you can use it as an offensive strategy, but that's got quite a bit of luck and kind of anticipation and guts involved in it, just depending if you can get to the enemy lines without them spotting you or something. But my primary shotgun, I have the Widowmaker, which actually uses up metal, which you use obviously to build the sentry, but for every single piece of damage you do against an enemy with it, you get that same metal or ammunition back, and you also never have to reload. So it's a pretty cool item, and yeah, I really enjoy it, and I love the noise it makes when it fires. It's just, I mean, absolutely awesome. Then as my secondary, I have the pistol. The Wrangler I like, but it just takes quite a long time after you then unequip it. And then the sentry becomes inactive for a while, and the short circuit, I never quite understood what the point of it is, and I never managed ever to consume any kind of incoming projectile with the energy ball it fires. So I just go for the normal pistol, and the normal pistol is also very good at spotting out spies, because you can just kind of aim it at a doorway and just spam for quite a long time. For my wrench, I have the Jag, because it has an extremely fast hitting speed to repair sentry. It's got an extra 15% firing speed, I think it is. So that's pretty awesome, although it has got the damage penalty, but to be fair, I never really want to hit someone with my Jag. I really just want to repair my sentry. And then obviously I have the construction PDA, which is for creating my sentry and dispenser and teleports. Moving on to the heavy. Now the heavy, I've got quite a few miniguns in it. I've got obviously the normal minigun, Natasha, the Brass Beast, the Hulong Heater, and the Tomislav. Basically, to go through them, Tomislav doesn't do as much damage, but has a much faster spin up time and a much faster, I think, fire rate, and it's more accurate. The Natasha has an extremely high damage, not as high as the Brass Beast, but still very high, and when you hit someone, it slows them right down. The Hulong Heater, basically when you fire it, it makes a ring of fire around you, so it's very difficult for spies to backstab you without being set on fire, which means then even if they do kill you, the rest of the team can still then locate the spy pretty quickly. And then my favourite is the Brass Beast, which I've then renamed as Oh Yeah Boys Bye Bye, because although it does have a 50% slower spin up time and a 60% slower movement speed when deployed, it has an extra 20% damage bonus and an extra 20 damage resistance, or 20% extra damage resistance when below 50% and spun up. So you can take quite a few hits with it, and it deals a ton of damage, and I really do enjoy it. Then obviously I've chosen the Sandwich as my secondary, because it can give you, when you eat it, it gives you back 320 health, which is pretty awesome. And then I have the Warrior Spirits, which are like bears' claws mixed in with boxing gloves, and they give you an extra 30% damage bonus, and an extra 50% or 50% of your health is restored when you kill someone. So that is pretty awesome. I mean, I do also love the Holiday Punch, because they make people laugh if you, I think it was, if you taunt on them or you critically hit them, it forces people to laugh. Or if you hit someone who's also wearing the holiday punch, then they fall into laughter. And it is quite funny when both of you are there kind of in absolute hysterics. That's what makes TF2 so great. Now the Devilman. The Devilman is something I play quite often actually in competitive, and I use the lock and load because it's brilliant at taking down buildings or sentries. So it's got an extra 20% damage bonus against buildings, which means it's fantastic for taking out sentries. And it's got an extra 25% projectile speed, which means it's actually, once the grenade leaves the grenade launcher, it actually reaches its target if you are on point with your accuracy pretty fast. It has, however, got a 35% reduced clip size, and it doesn't really have much of an explosion. It has a minus 25% explosion radius, which means if you don't hit your target with the grenade, it's not that likely to do much damage with it. So here we go with the secondary. The secondary is the sticky bomb launcher, and I use the Scottish resistance. I mean, look at this, extra 25% faster firing speed, 50% max secondary ammo on wearer, so it has a huge amount of bombs basically to throw down. I can't remember what, I think you can throw down 14 or maybe 16 sticky grenades, which means you can cover an entire area, and you can choose which ones you want to detonate at different times, which is actually very useful because you can cover multiple entrances and not have to then replace all your grenades after you've only blown up one guy at one entrance. So it is very useful, and it is, I've never known this actually before, it's able to destroy enemy sticky bombs. That's another bonus, but it has got a slower arm time for the bombs. It does take a while. It says here 0.8 seconds slower, but it feels a lot longer than that when you're in game. And then as my melee, I have the Scotsman Skull Cutter, because although it does make you slow when you walk around, it has got a long hit radius, so you can hit people from quite far away, like with the sword, and it's got an extra 20% damage bonus, which is pretty awesome. So this loadout is all about kind of tactical explosions and high damage. Now onto the Pyro. The Pyro, kind of in short movies and stuff like that, and in Meet the Pyro, he's a bit of an odd character. Doesn't really have much idea what's going on, has like a child's brain. But for my loadout, I've gone very serious. I've gone for the back burner, which gives 100% critical hits from behind, and it extinguishes teammates and restores 20 health for them. On the other side of that, the cost of the air blast is, I think it's 50 or 100, which means you basically lose, I think, somewhere up to half of your ammo on air blasting people or extinguishing people. So that is a low, which means it uses ammo very fast, and you have to constantly be aware of how much ammo you have left. Now for my secondary, which is normally kind of like the flare gun, I've used the Scorch Shot because it has a 100% chance of mini crits versus burning players. The flare knocks back your target on hit, and it explodes when it hits the ground, which is a bit like a grenade. So it's like a small grenade explosion, probably like the lock and load, and then it can set people on fire if it just lands on the ground next to them. And it has increased knockback on burning players. On the other side of this, it has got a 35% damage penalty and a 35% self-damage force. So those are the downsides. Now, this melee I created myself. Obviously you can buy it and earn it, but I made it myself, and it's called the Sharpened Volcano Fragment, and it looks absolutely incredible. I mean, just look at that. Absolutely stunning. And the way it works is, on hit, it basically sets your opponent, when you hit your opponent, it sets your opponent on fire, but it has got a has got a 30% damage penalty, should I say. But then again, once you set them on fire, I mean, they're kind of pretty much stuffed. Anyway, although I will show you, I do love the Neon Annihilator because it is fantastic, especially on 2-Fort when people come out of the sewers, and you can just hit them immediately straight away with the water, and they basically just get vaporized. That is a lot of fun. But for competitive, I will take the Sharpened Volcano Fragment. Now moving on to the Soldier. This is where we have some sad news, ladies and gentlemen, because Rick May, who's an American voice actor who was actually the voice for the Soldier and created such an amazing personality for the Soldier, died last week, literally 7 days ago, due to the coronavirus, age 79. So huge respect to him. I just want to pay tribute to everything he did, and I hope he had a fantastic life, and I'm sure he's in a better place now. So with my soldier, there's different rockets you can go for. The black box gives you 20% health on hit. The airstrike, if you kill people whilst in the air, you get a increased clip size that I think can go up to 8, and it fires very fast. And it has got a 15% increased blast damage from rocket jumps, which means it's the ultimate quick fire, high damage weapon. But for me, I prefer to use the direct hit because it doesn't have such a big damage radius or explosion radius, but it has a 25% damage bonus. The projectile speed is plus 80%, so it goes very fast. I think the only one to go faster than that is the Liberty launcher. No, it's not actually. The direct hit is much faster. I never knew that. I would have guessed it was the other way around. And mini crits targets launched airborne by explosions, grapple hooks, or rocket packs. So it does have critical hits. So when you hit a critical hit on an enemy, a direct hit, and they get absolutely destroyed. The only problem with it is you have to have really good accuracy, because if you miss, as I said, the explosion radius isn't that big, so they don't take that much damage. Then there's also the Cow Mangler, which is like it kind of sends out an electronic charge sort of thing, which is really good, useful, but it can only do like 4 mini kind of electric shots, and then one really big or one really big one, but it takes a while to charge up. Then there's the original, which is the same, which has the same statistics as the normal rocket launcher. It just looks much awesomer, or much more awesome, as I should say, and the soldier holds it in a really funny and weird way. But anyway, for competitive, I will always go for the direct hit. Then as my secondary, I use this. I can't pronounce it. I never have been able to, but it's the thing that basically gives you 1 health per second when you're wearing it. You don't have, obviously you can't equip it, but even when you have your primary or your melee out, it still gives you 1 health per second, which is pretty awesome. The reason why I go for that over a gun is because when you're a soldier, you can get into quite intense fights, and it's nice just to be able to retreat sometimes and to get some health back. The base jumper, which is basically a parachute, is pretty good, but when you're using it, you can become very vulnerable to air shots from rocket launchers, or the rocket launchers, and to snipers. The panic attack is an awesome gun. It has an extra 50 bullets in each shot, and it deploys, it deploys 50% faster, and it fires like a very wide random shot of the bullets. But it has a reduced damage. It has reduced damage, and for me, I just never really seem to make it work in competitive. Then the Righteous Bison, it's like a pistol version of the Cow Mangler with the electricity pulses and stuff like that. And then there's the Battalion's Backup, which basically gives you an extra 20% max health. But when you're in an intense fight with the soldier, especially in competitive, when you're having all these people sweating on you and stuff like that, I mean, your health basically disappears anyway. So that's why I use the 1 health regenerated per second, because it allows me to retreat and not have to go and find a med kit or go back to base, but just retreat a little bit, get my health back up, and then give me the ability to go back in. And then there's my melee. I think we have the most popular thing for a soldier as a melee, and that's the Market Gardener. And that's the main point of it, is you jump up in the air with normally the rocket jumper RPG, and then you come down and smack someone on the head with it, and normally it crits and kills them instantly. So that is my loadout for the soldier. And now finally the Scout. The Scout I don't really play that much, especially not in competitive. I'm not really that good with it. I find it difficult to keep up with the pace of him. But a huge shout out to Omar, who plays with him a lot and is very good. I don't think he plays competitively, but he is amazing with the Scout. So my primary is the Force of Nature, which has an increased firing speed and increased knockback, and it has an extra 20% bullets per shot. But that said, it has a minus 66% clip size, which means there's obviously only 2 shots in the clip, and it has a minus 10% damage penalty. But it is very good fun when you can run up very close to someone, get very lucky with 2 crits, and basically you deal like 320 damage. It's even enough to take out a heavy if you get the crits. Then for my secondary, I have the winger. When it comes to choosing secondary items like the pistols for scouts and engineers, it's very difficult because there's not that much to choose from. But I've gone for the winger because there's a 15% damage bonus and a 25% jump height bonus, which means it gives you an extra jump height obviously, and that gives you much more maneuverability. If you were to combine that then with the melee bat of the atomizer, then you'd get much more maneuverability because the atomizer gives you a triple jump plus 25% jump height. That's insane maneuverability. But for my melee, I have gone with the stun on a stick because it gives you a 100% chance of critical hits against a burning player, and it has a 25% fire damage resistance, which means it gives you that 25% buff if a WM1 pyro comes around the corner, or any pyro, or even a kind of a scorch shot hits you. You have that extra bit of health and resistance so that you can retreat and get out of the way and go and get yourself healed up again without having to die. It just gives you that little bit of comfort knowing that you have that extra buff of resistance to help yourself against pyros and long shots from the flare gun. Because as a scout anyway, you have a pretty low health, so you want to try and keep yourself away from unnecessary loss of health as much as possible. Now I think I'm going to show you my taunts. I'm not sure. Scout, I don't have any taunts, as I said, because I don't play him that much. But with the soldier, I have the taunt, the Panzer Pants, which is obviously where he gets in his tank, and he goes around, and it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool taunt, and it's awesome when you get a whole kind of server and just a whole parade of tanks going around. I mean, it's pretty sick. The Pyro, I'm not sure if I have taunts. No, I don't. Again, I don't play him that much. And Devilman, I don't think I have either. No, the Heavy I do though, because the Heavy likes to cook, but then he gets very angry when he does cook. So you can't really see it here because for some reason it doesn't show, but he has a table with pots and pans on it, and then once you're done with it, he basically flips the table upside down and all the food and pans go absolutely everywhere. Now for the engineer, I think I have 3 taunts. So I have the jumping jack, which is basically where you get on a jackhammer and you can use it as like a pogo hop, or what's those things called, a pogo jumper or something, pogo stick, that's it. And then you have the Rancho Relaxo, which is probably the most awesome thing. I mean, you can't see it here for some reason, but it's basically where, out of the same thing that he uses for dispensers and stuff and teleports, he basically makes this mechanical chair and he sits back and he drinks beer and makes very loud noises whilst he's doing it. And then I have the dueling banjo, which is where he sits down on a hail bay or hail stack, and what he'll do is he'll play the banjo until smoke starts coming off the strings. Now the medic, I know I don't have any taunts for. The sniper, I think I have 2 taunts. I have the Killer Solo. I can't remember if I showed you this at the beginning of the video, but I have the Killer Solo, which is where he plays the saxophone. And then I have the didgeridoo because he's an Australian legend. I mean, look at that guy, Australian legend right there. And then the spy, I don't think I have any. Oh, I do, the box trot, how could I forget? This is basically, for those of you who don't know, where he gets inside a box and yeah, he basically hides inside a box. It's pretty stealthy and it can work really well when you're doing capture the points and stuff like that, and defending the points, because you can hide in the corner and they never really suspect you to be there. So that is it today, guys, for the video. Those are my loadouts for competitive matchmaking. I will be uploading new videos on TF2 for my best loadouts for kind of fun, having fun and messing around. And then I also will be putting together over the next few days a montage of some of my best moments from TF2, and that will be coming out very shortly. If you did enjoy the video, again, can I remind you, please hit that subscribe button and like, and turn on the notification bell. For now, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll see you in the next one.